1 year. It is so crazy to even say that, to even think that, to thought that I just like blinked and a year went by. So when this episode gets released, it will officially have been 1 year since I had the surgeries for the melanoma that was on my face. And so I wanted to share with you in this episode a little bit more about not necessarily finding it and all of that. I actually recorded an episode on that. You can go back and scroll through my previous episodes where I shared a little bit more about finding it and some of that process, but more I want to do a look back for you on looking back on the last year. What is just some of my perspective, some of the things, the lessons I've learned, some of the takeaways, and hopefully share some insights with you if you're in one of those seasons where you're just like, what is going on, right? And so first, a little bit, I'll give you just a little bit of context. If you're somebody who's been a listener for a while, then you already know my story and the journey that I have. And if you're not, I'll give you a little bit of insight onto that. But also, like I said, go back and check out, I have a previous episode where I talk about hearing the words melanoma and what that all was. And so I actually heard that I had melanoma in August of 2024, and I didn't actually start the surgeries until October. So just a little bit of that. It was on my nose. It was a spot on my nose. I think I even talk about in that episode, because one of the things that I've noticed from starting to share more about my journey and all of that is people getting questions like, what made you go in and get it checked? What did it look like? And one of the things that I had kind of shared, and I kind of joke about now, even in my talks, is I remember going to get it checked out and going to the dermatologist, and they said they'd do the biopsy. And I still was like, okay, it's probably not a big deal. And what I had known of someone having skin cancer was if they did have to have it removed, it was like they got it frozen off or they just got it like shaved off, no big deal. That was not my story. And so when I got the phone call with the biopsy results last year and she said melanoma, I remember just being like, okay. And she said, we're referring you to a plastic surgeon. They're going to be reaching out to you. And I was like, well, that kind of sounds serious. And I remember getting off the call and actually Googling, like, is melanoma the type of, we learned about skin cancer, and other types of cancer. And I remember Googling, like, is melanoma the type of skin cancer that you want because it's not so bad, or the type you really don't want? Turns out it's the one you really don't want because melanoma is the most dangerous, the most aggressive form of skin cancer. It can spread very quickly. And it can be pretty severe when it does spread. And so not only did I have melanoma, which was pretty uncommon they even said for someone my age and everything like that, but also it was in one of the worst spots to have it on your nose because it's not a simple, just like, we're just going to go into the dermatologist and they're going to kind of shave it off. No, I had to go work with multiple surgeons. So it actually took us until October to get everything coordinated because we were the doctor who was going to be doing the cancer removal was this kind of specialty doctor who it was a different type of procedure that they don't typically do on melanoma. He's one of the only ones in the area that does it this way. And so trying to get on his schedule, and he only did it on Fridays. And so we had to like coordinate to get to see him on Friday, and then they would bandage me up. And then on Monday I would go in and see the plastic surgeon. And so October 11th was the day that I went in and had the melanoma removed. And then October 14th was the first of several surgeries with the plastic surgeon. And so I remember when we went in on the 11th to get it removed, they said, sometimes we get it in the first shot, sometimes we've got to go back in. And so they did the first round. And I shared this, I believe, in that episode that I had done a while back about that story. And then we had to sit there for a couple hours as they checked to see if they had clear margins, and like, we didn't get it all, we have to go back in. And then on Monday is when I then went in to have the plastic surgeon start to work on kind of what they call the reconstruction and all of that. And so, looking back, it's still just crazy to think that that was a year ago. And I guess some of the takeaways that I really want to share with you that I have learned, and hopefully these are helpful to you for if you're in one of those tough seasons, because I remember just feeling like, I feel like we've been in a long, tough season. Like a lot of those things have happened. A lot of crazy things have happened to us. And so when I just think of the last year and some of the things that I have learned, I would say that one of the first ones is that oftentimes things are so outside of our control. And so it's really just for me, I had to anchor into like what is within my control, because when you're in those situations, it feels like there's so much outside of your control. And so if you're in one of these tough seasons, hopefully my lessons and takeaways help you through this. But just realizing like what can you control? Like you can't control all of the things. You can control your perspective, you can control your attitude, you can control, how you choose to see the situation, but oftentimes the situation itself is outside of your control. And so the first thing is just kind of to feel like you have some sense of control is what do you have control over and what can you put within your control. So for me, it was trying to stay positive. It was trying to put things into perspective. It was leaning on the support system that I had. And it was really just trying to focus on the good. And then I would say the other big takeaway that I had that kind of goes with that is just to see the amount of support and community that showed up for me, that showed up for our family. Still to this day is one of the things that I think is the greatest takeaways from that whole situation, is to just have so many of our friends and our family who are reaching out to us, who are writing me notes, who are dropping things off, who offered to help. My clients who were so understanding when I was like, hey, I have to like move things around, or I can't be on camera. I have to move events around, all of those things, just the amount of support that we had. And I know for someone, if you're someone like me who's like, you don't want to be on the receiving, I feel like we've had so many life things happen that we had to be on the receiving end of that for so many things. And I was like, I don't want to be here anymore. I don't want to be this person who has to be on the receiving end. I want to be the giver, but also just needing to lean into it and realize that like it is your season to receive and that you're going to have another season to give. And just to be so grateful for it. And just to remember too, that those people who are showing up for you, like they want to do that for you. They want to do something. They can't take away the pain. They can't take away the situation. They can't change it for you. So the only thing that they can do is show up for you. So let them do that. If you're in one of those seasons, if you're someone who's going through something personally or professionally, let people show up for you, because the next time it will be your turn. Like, not that I want anything to happen to any of my friends and family that I need to do that, but I know that's just how life is, right? Life hits us all the time. And so for me, I was really leaning into like, I'm so grateful for all the people who are here to support us right now. And I can't wait to be on the other side of this so that I can be there to support them next. So I think that's another lesson, is just be okay with where you're at, receive the support, surround yourself with people who are going to support you, and just know that they want to do that for you and that you will get an opportunity to do that for them. I think another one of the big takeaways, and the thing is I remember at the time, like so many other people that I knew, I had clients who had these big, scary health issues around the same time, where I would see other people post to talk about things. I felt like collectively, as like there were so many of us that were going through so many big things. And I think what that did for me is it helped to just almost humanize all of us in the experience of like, we all go through these things, and just kind of connect us of like, wow, we're all going through this. But the other thing is it really helped put things into perspective, because it can be easy sometimes to have that little pity party for yourself and to go like, why is this happening to me? How come something else happening? I just want to, be quote unquote normal and regular and live my life. And then you could look and see, wow, other people have it so much harder, or at least I'm not going through that, right? So for me, just kind of putting into that perspective can be like, in the grand scheme of things, this is okay. Like for me, it was like, we caught it early enough. We're doing the surgery. At that point, it hadn't spread. It was just putting things into perspective to be like, what can we be grateful for? And realizing that everyone has these like crazy seasons of life. The other thing was, I think with that perspective, the other lesson that I'd share for you is just, and this actually came from, and I actually tell this story now with my son. So my surgeries were all in October, and October is one of my favorite months of the entire year. We've got the fall, we have all these fall activities that we do. My son was having, his Halloween parties, and he had soccer games, and he had trick-or-treating and all these things. And I remember being like, wow, I don't know if I want to go show up to these things, because at that point I was so bandaged. I was bandaged from the top of my head all the way to my nose and a couple other spots. I was bruised, I was swollen, and the idea of missing those things though just like broke my heart. And I remember saying to myself, like, it's not worth it to miss those things. Like, I'm not willing to give those experiences and those moments and those memories up because I'm uncomfortable. But I remember it was pretty fresh after, because I had multiple facial surgeries. It was after, I think maybe the first one, or the second one. And I was really bandaged, and my son had his Halloween party that I was volunteering at his school in his second grade class. And I remember telling him, I was like, I think it's important to tell him and talk to him about it. And I remember saying to him, Mom's kind of nervous to go. And he just said to me, he said, "Be brave, Mom. My friends are really nice." And it just was this like so innocent and so comforting message from my son. He was so 7 at the time. And I like clung to that. So I went to his party. His friends were so nice. Like, nobody even said anything about it. They kind of looked, but, and I clung to that throughout that season. Like, when I had some speaking events then in November where I was still a little bit bandaged, I remember just like clinging to that, like, "Be brave, Mom." And I carried that with me. And so we can take those things and those lessons with us. And so I guess one of my takeaways for you from that too would just be to like, sometimes I love to learn and get motivated from, podcasts. Like, you're listening to this one. Hopefully this is motivating. And I love to learn from other people. But sometimes what we really need is just like right in our own home. Like, that's what I was thinking. Like, the words that Sawyer said to me were things that got me through that season. And I think the other big takeaway that I would share with you is, if you are in a season right now where, again, whether it's something personal, a health thing, or a family member, or if something's professional, either within your organization or within your business, and you're in that season, just give yourself permission to be there. And there's no right or wrong way to deal with it, to handle it. There's no right way for you to feel about it. It is what it is. And give yourself, I always say, the space and grace to just be in it. And you can be mad, and you can be frustrated, and you can be angry, and you can be grateful, and you can have perspective, and they might flip-flop every 5 minutes, but just give yourself permission to fully be in the season, and also to know that every season ends. And even if your season feels like it's been going on forever, believe me, I get that. Where you're like, this season of life is just like never going to end. It will. Every season, there's a silver lining to it. Every season ends, and there's going to be another season that comes. And so I think that was one of my lessons, was to just be like, okay, we are in this right now. This is our season of hurt and pain and confusion and needing support and sadness. But I know that it's just a season. It's not a life sentence, and that the next season is coming. And so that would be one of my takeaways for you, is if you are in that tough season right now, just to know that the next season is coming. It might not be on your timing. It usually isn't. It might not be when you want it to happen or change. It might not even look like what you want it to look like, because that's the stuff that's outside of our control. But just to know that you will at some point be able to look back and go, wow, I made it through that. And so for me, 1 year later, it's like, what a year it was. And health is still a big priority for me, because since I had that melanoma, we have had multiple other spots that they have found that were either pre-melanoma or that I need some follow-up surgeries for. And so it's just like, in this season of life where we're parenting and running businesses and we have a lot of stress, it's like, still, I need to be number one. My health needs to be number one, because without it, nothing else matters. And so that would be, I would say, one of the last takeaways I'd share with you is just, you need to come first. If you're a mother, a father, an aunt, an uncle, a friend, whatever it is, if you're a boss, if you're an executive, if you're a leader, if you're an entrepreneur, whatever it is, if you're sitting here listening to me, that it is that you do, all of those things are so incredibly important, but none of it matters if you're not there to be able to do it all. right? And so just that reminder of like you and your health need to come first. You need to take care of yourself first. And I know I say this to my clients, it's easier said than we can tell everybody else this stuff, right? But then when it comes to ourselves. So I will see that a lot with my clients though, especially when we do our energy leadership assessment and we're looking at their stress levels and how it's impacting them. We know that when you have long-term stress and burnout, that it's going to create those health challenges. And so it's incredibly important that you get a pulse check on that before it becomes. I always say it's like your body starts to kind of whisper and kind of like poke at you like, hey, you're getting kind of tired. Hey, you're kind of getting burned out. Then it starts to kind of get a little louder and then it starts to yell and then it will just start to shut down. And we want to catch it before it gets to that point. So this is just your reminders to schedule that appointment, schedule that follow-up, take care of yourself because you need to come first. For me, I would say I am so incredibly excited for this next season of life. I feel like we have been coming out the other side of a really tough season on a couple different fronts. And I can look back and be like, wow, look what we still were able to do. We still had so many amazing moments and amazing business wins and family wins. And it just helps put things into perspective of what really matters. So I hope that this was helpful for you. I hope some of my takeaways and some of my lessons and some of the things that I needed a reminder on help you. And if you're in one of those tough seasons right now, personally or professionally, just remember it's okay to be in it. It's okay to feel however you need to feel. And the next season is coming.